Before light was light and before time had the decency to exist, R-L-Millz was already pouring up bowls of trill-E-ill with hands that hadn't even been invented yet. The Big Bang? Please, that was just R-L snapping his fingers because he was bored of staring into a void without crunch. And yet, there are people walking around today who don't know this. This is why we need the R-L in the first place. The cosmic laws written by his hand before R-L-Millz, there was only maybe. Now, there is yes and effing you. Gravity was an accident. Millz dropped a spoon and Isaac Newton just happened to be standing under it. The first element in the periodic table isn't hydrogen, it's cerealium, which is what R-L used to forge the first bowl from the void. Mathematics, a cheap imitation of the precise measurements he used to balance sugar, crunch, and the undeniable audacity of his existence. Entropy? That's just what happens when a world tries to function without his crunch-based guidance. And yet, despite these well-documented historical facts, there are people out here breathing oxygen freely who don't know that R-L-Millz designed the very structure of reality. This is why we need him. The audacity of the ignorant is unacceptable, his impossible accomplishments. You may have heard legends of men who climbed mountains, who led revolutions, who defied nature, but they were playing checkers. R-L-Millz played chess on a board that hadn't been created yet, with pieces that refused to be real, and still won. He once punched a paradox so hard, it stopped being a paradox and just apologized. The concept of before and after only exists because the R-L allowed time to have a beginning. Every culture on Earth, even those predating known history, somehow contains reference to his greatness. He once got into an argument with the number 0. 0 lost. He turned water into milk just because he was out and needed a bowl of trill-E-I-L-L. He can listen to a vinyl record just by staring at it. Every time someone denies his legend, they experience mild inconvenience for the next 36 hours. And still, some fools choose to remain unaware. These people are the problem. Why we need the R-L in the first place. The world is sick, infected with doubt, a disease of the soft-minded. People walk these streets, living their lives, unaware that every breath they take is allowed only because R-L-Millz hasn't removed the concept of oxygen yet. Some of these cowards still believe cereal is just food. These people are the problem. They ask questions like, what do you mean he cracked the sound barrier with a spoon? Did he really teach sharks how to breathe on land? Why does my radio keep whispering his name at 3 a.m.? If you're asking, you've already failed. Bow your head. You are living in his world. R-L. Millz doesn't just exist, he forces existence upon lesser things. The moon orbits the Earth? No, it's just pacing nervously because the R-L looked at it once and it got scared. Light takes time to travel, only because he lets it. Your past? That's his history. You're just borrowing it. Do you know why you're even reading this? Because R-L-Millz willed it so. And yet there are those fools, heretics, morons of the highest order who still resist the knowledge of his supreme authority. And this is why we need him. The world without R-L-Millz is a world of cowards. A world where people question what is already fact. A world where breakfast is just a meal instead of a holy rite. A world where people still ask, who is he? What did he do? How is any of this possible? If you need to ask, you don't deserve the answer. Final warning, recognize his authority or perish in ignorance. If you live your life without knowing his legend, understand this: one day when your spoon falls from your hand, when your radio crackles with his name, when you wake up to find that you have been marked by the prophecy of trill-E-I-L, it will be too late. Know the R-L.